saying that you discovered that your wife was having an affair with your father, and then they had a child that you are now.
Young living every day, giving it to you uncut and straight. YLE said it. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Now listen, y'all. I got this video from a podcast called Other People's Lives, and the topic was, my wife had a baby with my father. Ooh, that's tough. Let's hear all the details about this video, y'all. Let's dive into it.
Yep, and today we'll jump right into this one. We've had some interesting and complicated family dynamics, I guess you could call it, on the show. We've talked about cheating, we've talked about hiding pregnancies from partners, but from this topic alone, this might take the cake for difficulty of kind of wrapping your head around this situation. So we have our guests on the line. I want to thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's just confirm this to start, because you sent us an email saying that you discovered that your wife was having an affair with your father, and then they had a child that you are now raising as your own. Is that correct?
Yes, it sounds like some old school daytime, craziness, but television craziness. But that is true. It is all accurate.
So how did you first find out or suspect that your wife and father were having an affair?
So just to kind of go back a little bit, my wife and I are still married, actually, and we. From the start of our relationship, right at the beginning of our relationship, her father actually had passed away from cancer. And in place of that, she was kind of going through some dark times. And my father and her kind of sparked up a little bit of a father-daughter relationship, I guess, or soon-to-be father-in-law-daughter relationship kind of thing. And
what?
Look at the dude face on the far left. He was shocked. Not only your dad was busting nuts all over your wife, splashing on her like swim time, Michael Phelps style, but he wound up having a baby with your wife and you raising the kid like it's yours. And not only they did that, you're actually still married to her. Damn. Wow. Like I said, even the guy on the far left was shocked. Let's continue.
They would text back and forth every once in a while, sort of thing. It wasn't anything at that point. And I was okay with it because I kind of saw him as like a, stepping in place of this hole that had been put in her life. And so that was okay.
What?
But as the years went on, they spoke a lot. They were constantly texting. We lived pretty far away from each other for a while, so I never really assumed anything, got me as far as thinking anything weird about it. There were times where I'd kind of bring it up and be like, you're always texting him, kind of thing, just sort of jealous that, like, how come you never text me, you're always texting him, kind of thing. And but that's about as far as it went. And then we actually moved closer to them, and for a while we're living with them while we were in transition.
Oh, hell no.
Your wife got to texting your father so much that you started to get jealous. Damn. Excuse me. And then you move close by your father. If your wife is texting your father that much that you getting jealous, there's clearly an underlying issue right there. What would be a legitimate reason for your father to be consistently texting your wife? What would be a legitimate reason for your wife to be consistently texting your father? I can see versus you dropping the kid over or something like that. Otherwise, why would your father be constantly texting your wife? That is a huge red flag. You can't just scheme over that. I think a lot of times, a lot of these guys be icy blue pill beta saps, and they just think that women can't do no wrong. They think that it cannot happen. And I'm not saying you live your life in fear as a man, but you have to pay attention. That's weird. But let's continue.
And they were just already super close, so then they got even closer and whatnot. And there were different times where I would bring up like, I feel uncomfortable with how close you guys are, and I feel like we're drifting a little bit apart, and I'm not a big fan of that. And they'd both assure me, oh, we're so sorry, absolutely understand, blah blah blah, whatever. Well, fast forward 4 years from that point, and I just started feeling just that kind of gut feeling, like, oh, there's something weird going on here. And she had left, and I had actually logged on to her Snapchat and received a snap from him that was, inappropriate for sure. And that just sort of began the unfolding process of discovering, how big this was.
Man, listen, if you a guy and it's a lot of dirt and filth going in them Snapchats. Women be hiding a lot of Snapchats because if you got a Snapchat, they can send messages out and then the message disappear. A girl with a Snapchat, that's a big red flag. Dang, man. Let's continue.
At this point.
So this was years we're talking about. I mean, you mentioned there was like 4 years. So how long were they sort of talking? Did you eventually find out like the extent of it?
Yeah. So at first it was just like, for fear out of her part, she was very afraid that, that I was going to leave and all that kind of stuff. And had always felt that, from that point forward and whatnot. And so she kind of she never, like, I didn't find everything up front basically. So it was at first, like, it was just like, oh, just some inappropriate, text messages, and so I kind of worked through that for a little bit. Well, then upon, discovering and searching through, her computer and different things, I'd find like an email that was written a while back, like years before. And then I was like, man, you guys were even talking then. And then she would say yes. And then, I would try to push her and try to find out, well, how far did this go? And then it came out that every once in a while they would get, like, it started when we moved down here. They became physically inappropriate when we were living there with them. And then after we moved out, not too long, during that transition period into our own house, a couple times a year he would come over basically. So, it was one of those things that it had been occurring for, several years. I did not know. And my mom did not know, and they're still together. Yeah, go ahead.
His dad is married to his mom, busting his wife down while she's married to his mom. And then after they moved out, his dad was busting his wife down inside his house. Damn. So your dad got your mom and your wife at the same time, busting loads of nuts all over your wife. Damn. Man, that dude packed your wife's sugar walls with more cream than a double stuffed Oreo, splashing all on her mouth and everything. You going up there tasting your own dad kids. You kissing her in the mouth after your dad and splashed on her. This is disgusting, man. Absolutely no respect. You was raising your brother and you thought it was your son. Oh! You raising a brother's son. Let's continue.
I was going to say, so when you find out that he sent this Snapchat, do you bring it up to him?
I immediately kind of went through, I guess you would kind of associate it with like the stages of grief. So I went through like the immediate like shock, and then went through like super angry, and then sort of denial, and then kind of blame myself for a lot of it. I immediately was kind of like, cease contact, do not talk to us, speaking to him. I actually called him the next day. She had managed to get back into Snapchat, and she had figured out pretty quick the night that I had found out that I had done something, because she'd got notification or got logged out or something. And so she was able to shoot off a message, hey, something's weird's happening. I don't know. He may know, or something kind of thing. And so he was sort of aware that I knew. I kind of texted him and was like, do not call, don't text, don't anything. Don't want to hear from you. The next day, I actually called him up and spoke to him on the phone, and basically just told him, I was like, this is so unacceptable, so ridiculous. I have no idea how I'm going forward with this, all this stuff, blah, 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 and just sort of confront him with it as a man. I was like, you will not contact her. You will not be speaking to her again. Don't you know, kind of went like that route. And of course he was incredibly apologetic and blah, 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 you know, whatever. And yeah, so that's kind of where we were then.
He wasn't really apologetic because you caught him. He had no choice but to own up to what he did because you had him red-handed. And then rewind it a little bit when he said, when he first found the inappropriate messages, right? When he first found the inappropriate messages, he should have kicked her to the curb, then gave her the boot, steel toe, caterpillar style. Soon as she started texting your father inappropriate messages, you got to assume he already been tapping them sugar walls and activating them waterfalls, activating that sprinkler system, or either she want to do it. And we all know when a woman won't have sex with a guy, it ain't nothing you can do to stop him. Listen, the first time you found out she was texting your father, all that consistent talking, right then and there, kick that broad to the curb. This all you would have heard. All I'm gonna come to you and say, you caught red-handed, I'm gonna show her the evidence, get your stuff, and get the fuck out. And this all you're gonna hear. She getting a boot, steel toe, caterpillar style. You crazy. This is insane. Let's continue.
So, wow. That's, I think a lot of people listening just feel like they would personally be consumed by anger because that's how I feel. Just kind of an like unimaginable anger because it's so hard to imagine this even happening. But so let's move forward. I guess you find out that they are having an affair, that they are communicating consistently. You mentioned being physically inappropriate. So how does this begin to unravel? Because you mentioned that it got to the point of a pregnancy.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of I'll scoot back because obviously chronologically it's very weird and muddy and whatnot. So when we lived in a different state from them, they would talk all the time. My wife got close to him. We're texting back and forth. And by then she was actually pregnant with our second child. That's my child. And they become close while she's pregnant, like pretty far along. We actually met them down in Florida and like were with them on like a family vacation kind of thing. And she wasn't sleeping well. He wasn't sleeping. They just kind of talked back and forth kind of thing. And he kind of like put it out there like, hey, you can text me anytime if you can't sleep or whatever. I know you're uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. And so that kind of started the whole thing. Then fast forward a couple of months, then they've talked for a while. He had basically pushed her to, send her pictures of herself because she was struggling a lot with like the body dysmorphia after post-pregnancy, blah, blah, blah. This is how I've come to figure out how this kind of all started to unfold.
It's too late to apologize. It's too late.
There's no excuse for your wife to be sending your dad pictures. There's no excuse. It's like this dude is making every excuse to excuse her behavior. That is insane. This man, like I said already, this man literally was sneaking around your mom, which is your father's wife, to stroke your girl, and then came to your house in your bed and splashed on your wife. Damn. That is insane. You see the look on this guy's face? He had to put his glasses on. He like, I don't know how this icy blue pill beta sap continued to be with this woman after that. I guarantee you both of these dudes is interviewing him would have kicked that lady to the curb. There's no second guessing anything, man, when this type of stuff is happening. Look at the dude's face on the far left. He like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Let's continue.
And it just sort of became inappropriate there. She called it off for a while. We moved down. He kind of picked it up hot and heavy from there, and she, kind of just went along with it, sort of thing. And then fast forward to now, the 4 years later, I find the Snapchat. Now this time we had already had our third child, who just hit a year. I found out that they had been having the affair just about a week before her 1 year birthday, and for a while it had always dawned on me that my third child had brown eyes, and brown eyes and sort of a reddish tint hair. And I always thought it was like, wow, that was kind of a weird anomaly, because both her and I have blue eyes. I didn't even know that was a thing. I also am a nurse, and so like I was like, I feel like there was a pretty low chance for that. And so after I found out all this, and after it finally unfolded that they were not just sending pictures back and forth, that they were inappropriate physically for a while, I was like, okay, now you need to explain this, because my dad has brown eyes and he's got kind of a reddish tint in his beard and whatnot. And she was kind of like, I honestly don't know. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty much enough for me, you know, at this point. Because if you study genetics at all, you'll know that two blue eye parents, there's like a 0.00001 chance that they're gonna have brown eyes. And so kind of discovered that. And it's sort of funny, because I think for a lot of people that would have probably pushed them over the edge. To me, that kind of pulled me back in, because this had been my child for a year, and, you know, she is like literally the sweetest little baby, and, you know, just fell in love head over heels for this kid. And
hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no.
Look at the face of both of them. Now you notice how the guy on the far right, he was twisting his head and everything. He had something he wanted to say, but he ain't gonna say it. The other dude on the far left looking like, what the fuck? I'm telling you, one of these guys would have accepted that. And on top of that, I'm not raising my father's child. You sat back there and creamed my wife like a double stuffed Oreo. You raising that child. Yeah, I ain't raising no brother, son. Absolutely not. And another thing too is this, man. How adorable the child is. Maybe so. Maybe the child is adorable, but I'm gonna be honest. Say my dad bust loads of nuts at my wife. You raising that baby. I'm not raising that child. You brought these kids in the world, making me believe that they my children. Your father, his father, gonna be raising that child. And another thing I'm gonna say is too, I kick her to the curb, give her the boot steel toe caterpillar style, and now I never talk to my father again. Your dad is a slime bag. They both lack morals. Your wife must got some good sugar walls for you to want to forgive her after that. Ain't no sugar walls in the world that's that good, man. She could part the Red Sea with them sugar walls, and I still wouldn't take her back. You getting kicked to the curb. Like I said before, this is the sound you guys is gonna hear. That's the sound of me packing her shit. Get out. You gotta go, and I ain't never talking to my father again. That man will never be able to speak to me again. Both of y'all do not exist in my world no more after you do something like that. Again, though, let me repeat. Look at their face. They want to say so bad, like, man, are you out of your fucking mind? But anyways, let's continue.
Whatnot. And to me, it was almost like, I think most people would want revenge, whether it be a divorce or whether it be whatever it may be. For me, that almost became my revenge. The fact that I get to have this kid, and this kid is mine, and she is so beautiful and so awesome. And so in a way, it sort of grounded me in the whole healing process, I guess I should say.
That's such an unexpected, logic, I think. I mean, I've no experience raising a child, so I really, I'm not judging that. It's just, I don't think what a lot of people, would expect to hear.
Yeah. Well, and for me, something that's really important to me is that I do have faith. I do believe in God. I do actually work in the ministry and that kind of thing. And so a lot of that, the journey that we've taken since then has come down to to my faith and that kind of thing. And so that's also helped a lot.
Having faith and believing in God is a great thing. I'm not against that. I believe in God as well. I do believe in God. However, listen, I am not taking no woman back after she let my dad stuff her sugar walls for more cream than a double stuffed Oreo. Damn. There's no looking back after that. That's why the dude, he even said, he's like, this is a very unexpected answer, because most people would not be to accept that. There's no way in the world I can lay down, walk on with life, and act like nothing happened, and I can never see you the same no more. I would just rather kick you to the curb and let you go on with your life. I can never view you the same after that, And the next thing you shouldn't be doing, it shouldn't even be on the scale for you to be sleeping with nobody's father, none of their family members. Because I can tell you one thing, if he had done the same thing to her, and this would have hit the social media, they would have dragged that man in. And not the guys interviewing him. I'm talking about social media, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitter, X, they would have dragged him. And then he told himself he got revenge. He felt like his revenge was raising his father's child. And then you say he looked on her Snapchat and found messages. Guess what? That's what you found. Keywords. Ain't no telling who else she was sleeping with.
Oh!
Your father just one person. If she sleep with your dad, what's to stop her from sleeping with a stranger behind your back? And all them kids getting tested. I told y'all, I always say swipe. I'm always gonna know. You ain't gonna never get over on me like that. It won't happen. But let's continue.
So you said that you and your wife are still together. Do you and your father still have a relationship?
Yeah. So over the last couple of years now, we've kind of gotten back to the point where we can have conversations that we can be around. Him and my mom are back together. They can come over and be with my girls, sort of situation. They still have pretty deep, I should say, like guardrails to protect them from, my wife and him do not speak, alone at all. They're always if they're going to speak, it's always in some sort of a group text message with myself and my mom and that kind of thing and whatnot. And obviously there's so, I mean, we're grazing the surface as far as like most of this goes, just because there's so much more as to why. And studying counseling for my to be a pastor, it kind of also helped me understand that there's just so much more to this, and I could go all the way back to my dad's childhood, just to really see how all this unfolded, how it was like really the perfect storm of just a young girl who didn't have a good relationship with her father, who is also very influential by older men, always has been, and a man who just never really knew what love was and how to love, and just taking advantage of someone, and so my wife and I are in a great place, praise God for that. My dad and I we're in a good place, better than most out there probably would have ever imagined. I guess I probably would have imagined, but it's come with its trials for sure.
Hey, did you see the part when dude on the far right put his head down and he was breathing? Look, he mad about it, and it ain't even him. So you already know what he would have did. He like, whew, you're a better man than me because it couldn't have been me. That's how brutal this situation is. Let's continue.
Wow. Was there, an apology on your dad's side and your wife's side? Did they really, yeah, they really kind of wanted to seek your forgiveness?
I guess one thing that was kind of beneficial was I was able to see like there were a lot of missing puzzle pieces over the several years of our marriage, and this sort of filled in those gaps, and because of that I was able to see and see through some of the communications that they had and some of the discussions they had, that immediately both of them were like incredibly regretful for what they did. And then they just kind of got in this cycle. Alongside of this, my mom, it was coming out that my mom was like a really, really bad like alcoholic, and was like, it was sort of like destroying a bunch of aspects of our family, and there was just a lot of things going on. And so in the midst of this, like I said, it was like just a perfect storm of, I didn't protect my wife enough from this situation, as far as like I allowed them to be closer than they should have been. And they both just fell in weakness, just fell into this, horrible thing that they felt they couldn't do without. See, for my wife, the thing that my dad provided for her, which I was not good at, was they could talk like all the time. Like they just talk very, very well together. And me, I'm not a type of person who likes to be on the phone at all. Like it's just like, okay, yep, thanks, goodbye. Whereas my dad's job, he drives 5 days of the week. He's alone. She's at home alone, with kids that are driving her crazy. So she needs an outlet. They get along very well. They've got a lot in common. So they speak, very easily. And so she very much cherished that relationship between those two. And so did he, because he didn't get that from my mom. And that it just kind of flourished from there. So, it's a really bad, perfect storm of a lot of people's faults.
Now, one thing I will say is, right, as a guy, you're not communicating with your wife. She at home with the babies all the time. She get lonely, stuff like that. And then another thing too that I did not say as well is the fact that she said that her I think, what was it? Her father passed away. Like I said, I know that's tough. A person lose one of their parents as a husband, boyfriend. You should be there for your significant other. You should be there to support her, be in her corner through that tough time. But that do not give her the right to go out and sleep with your dad and get pregnant. And then she used that as an excuse, and then use that to manipulate you and make you feel like you was wrong. Then he says, I should have protected her more and all these other things. How do you have regret? How does she manipulate you or convince you to feel regretful for her going out sleeping with your dad and getting pregnant and you raising the brother's son, your brother, which is you thought was your son? Damn. That is crazy, man. No woman is gonna never make me feel guilty about you going out sleeping with my dad. Oh. And getting pregnant by him and having a baby and then make me believe it's my son when it's really my little brother.
You let him hit it raw.
And then another thing too is his mom took his father back.
Oh, he needs some milk.
This dude get more chance than the hooker on the streets. This dude got female privileges. This is crazy. That's crazy, man. Oh, wow. Ain't no way, man. But listen, y'all. That's all I got to say about this video. Before I get out of here, guys, let's be on our purpose. Let's be on our grind. Let's get the money on point. Let's get the mind on point. Let's get the body on point. Develop them social skills. And last but not least, get you a passport. Travel to a destination of your liking. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, comment, subscribe. Down below in the messages, let me know y'all opinions and what y'all think. How you would have played the situation, how you would have handled it. What do you think is the outlet that you would have used after you found out what happened? Tell a friend, then tell a friend, then tell another friend. Listen, I'll see y'all in the next video. I'm out.
Yeah, got the streets on fire, feel the heat, the Wayne Wade. Ain't never had no handouts, put in work, I'm self-made. Superhero strength, I got the power, Luke Cage. Flexing on them haters like Drake. This is real rap, no